All right, our JavaScript is loaded. It's the moment you were waiting for. We get to write our first line of jQuery. I know if I could just hear you through this lens right now that you would be going wild on the other side. So how about you just let me have that dream and I'll show you where we're going to get started for now. Just revisiting the HTML we just looked at, I think this is an important place to start because what we want to do is identify the first behavior that we want to work with. API documentation, especially for jQuery, can often be lengthy, and there's a lot of methods available to us. So we want to identify the simple action that we want to accomplish, and then search with that in mind through the jQuery documentation. So as we discussed earlier, there is those 3 actions that go into expanding the answer. But what is it all triggered by? Well, when we get that answer to reveal itself, it's triggered by the click of a mouse. So one of the most basic actions that you will ever do on the web, it's a basic click event. So this is what we're going to want to keep in mind as we jump into the documentation. So let's go ahead and do that. Returning to the jQuery homepage, next to download up here at the top, we have the API documentation. So let's go ahead and hop in there. And like I said, there is a lot of information here, but that's why we want to kind of go in clearly with what we want to accomplish. So if we scroll down on the left-hand side here, we see an area called events, and there are a lot of different types of events that jQuery can listen for, but we're going to go to the bottom for mouse events. So we found what we're looking for immediately. This is one way to approach looking through the API documentation. Another way is maybe just Googling jQuery click, or the simplest way that you can phrase the action that you want to accomplish. But as you're unfamiliar with the API documentation now, we're going to work through it together and try to identify what category our action falls in. Is it an event? Is it an effect? And then work through it together. So this is a great place to get started, but I would encourage you to explore the documentation as much as possible. Just see what's out there and start warming up your brains to the possibility of everything that we can do with jQuery. Okay, so here we have our click function. Let's go ahead and hop in there and see what it tells us to do.